When sequels came to the NES, they tended to be drastically different from the games that came before them. This happened with Zelda 2 and with the American version of Super Mario 2. Castlevania 2 follows this pattern as well. The straightforward arcade nature of the first game has been replaced with a free-roaming adventure that has you searching for hidden items. After defeating Dracula in the first game, Simon Belmont has become cursed. In order to lift the curse, he has to locate 5 of Dracula's body parts, and then resurrect him and defeat him again. Funny how the manual shows the rib as a femur. You are free to walk in either direction. You'll encounter many forks in the road, and many dead ends that take a special trick to get past. There are towns where you get clues and buy items, and there's also 5 mansions that you have to enter to find Dracula's parts. The 8-bit graphics are beautifully drawn, as with most Konami games, though the white and gray gothic look of the first game has been replaced with a broader spectrum of colors, with many greens and purples. The game constantly transitions from night to day. During nighttime, the shops are closed and the enemies are stronger. To get past the dead ends in the game, you're going to have to do some very unusual things. The key is learning what these things are. When I set out to do this review, I decided I wasn't going to use any walkthroughs or cheat codes, although I did remember a few things from when I last played it decades ago. So I paid attention to every clue the villagers gave me, and experimented with many items I found, but I still couldn't figure out how to get past a couple of the dead ends. I was also having difficulty getting shopkeepers to appear, so I can buy the better items. Things really got bad when I took the tornado to a faraway part of the game before I was prepared to go there. The enemies took way too many hits to destroy because I took with me a very weak whip. I couldn't figure out how to take the tornado back to the other part of the game. Eventually, I had to give in and check a walkthrough. As it turns out, almost all the shopkeepers are hiding, and you need to destroy blocks to get to them. What kind of business plan is that? Some of the other things I needed to do, I would not have been able to figure out, like doing something specific at a lake, or wearing a certain item while talking to a certain person. I'm trying not to give away anything here. As it turns out, the clues the villagers give you don't make a lot of sense, and they are sometimes flat out lies. The manual actually tells you this. The game is untrustworthy, and I'd never used that to describe a game before. I say that because of all the esoteric things you have to do, and the way the shops are hidden from sight. There's also a lot of fake blocks in the mansions that you fall through. Then there's the fact that when you walk out the side of a screen, it tends to put you right smack in front of an enemy. There's also a lot of strategically placed water hazards. I think the programmers were trying to just ruin your day. The first Castlevania had 6 bosses, and they were very prominent parts of the game. This game has 3 bosses, and they are treated as an afterthought. Death, who tore me to pieces in the first game, is now as easy as a regular enemy. It's like they went from one extreme to the other. It's too bad the game has these failings, because it has a lot of good things going for it. It's got the great Castlevania gameplay, coupled with some nice music and graphics. The best thing to come from this game is that the adventure format would eventually become the Castlevania standard, so this was kinda like a dry run for what was to come. Castlevania 2 may be a cursed game, but it still has enough heart to warrant a playthrough if you're a fan of the series. This rating is a measurement of how fun it is to play this game today, compared to all other games. The 5 means average. See the description for more details.